Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's a new episode of Truth Be Told Minuteman Report. This is your host, Robert Hensley, coming to you live from an undisclosed location somewhere in North America. We like to call it the bunker. So today, we're going to delve into a great little story I found. So we all know that there's no hiding the fact that when we go to the grocery store, the prices on certain items is going up. Some say that it's inflation, and other things such as eggs. People are really confused as to why all of a sudden they're paying ginormous amounts of money for fresh eggs. Well, let's talk about this a little bit, because there's a conspiracy going around the internet that feed producers have somehow altered the formulas of poultry feed, chicken feed, that will make chickens not lay eggs, and then only providing the proper nutrition to chickens from a kind of the higher yielding large kind of chicken farms or egg farms, and really kind of forcing people into buying retail eggs rather than maybe turning to their friends who have kind of backyard chicken coops. So this is what we're calling CHICKENGATE, right? But is it an exaggerated conspiracy? Let's talk about this. So as you know, last year there was an increase in avian flu variants across the United States, right? Avian flu took out like turkeys, they took out chickens at poultry farms in the United States. It left us with a poultry shortage around Thanksgiving of last year. People were really talking about, that there was going to be a hard time getting turkeys for Thanksgiving, for the holidays. And then because there were less turkeys, then people started buying large chickens. But then avian flu hit the chickens, and then there was less chicken, and the prices went up. And so where do eggs come from? Chickens. And if the chickens have died, then that means that there's less eggs. Less eggs, but still a demand, means the price of the eggs goes up, right? Supply and demand, we know this is very simple. But here's the thing. Farmers, especially some smaller backyard farmers, started complaining that as the price of eggs started rising, the production of eggs in their backyard coops started decreasing, right? And so if you go on the internet and you look up this stuff, there are people who are talking in Twitter groups, Facebook groups, that are talking about how these chickens that have been laying eggs and laying regularly for quite a while, all of a sudden just stopped. But they hadn't changed anything about the conditions in which the chickens were living. The only thing that they could think was that it might have something to do with the food. Now, there was one woman who on TikTok, I believe, started posting about how she did some research and found that the chicken feed, the two brands of feed that she had were normally her go-to brands, she tracked it back and found that they were both being manufactured by Purina Animal Nutrition, which then is owned by Land O'Lakes, and that Land O'Lakes has a partnership, or is in some way connected to, ownership-wise, one of the highest yielding poultry or chicken farms in the country. And so if they had in some way changed the formula of these commercially available foods for the chickens, taking out minerals, taking out proteins that are required for laying eggs, then they could kind of force people into a situation where they had no choice but to buy eggs at these inflated prices. A lot of people kind of jumped onto the bandwagon of, and even started kind of like co-oping with their neighbors to make their own chicken feed. Some claimed online that once they changed feed and that they started milling their own corn and utilizing microgreens and kind of feeding their chickens organically, that they started laying eggs again. Again, this is all just based on what information that we're finding on the internet. Now, of course, we go back to the problem at hand, right? So what is happening? Ken Anderson, who is a poultry industry specialist from North Carolina State University, he said that because of a high path avian influenza, we've had to depopulate millions of laying hens. Now, depopulating means that the birds get the avian flu and then they have to euthanize the birds. And when you take that many chickens out of production, there are fewer eggs. And when there are fewer eggs, the price goes up. Now, Democratic U.S. Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island, he, along with a farmer-led advocacy group, they called for an investigation into a potential egg price gouging kind of conspiracy by producers. But there was no evidence that altered chicken feed or anything else was really driving the prices for eggs to such incredible heights, except for the supply and demand issue that was created by the avian flu. There are, people were talking, they were getting quotes from, these experts who are talking about how, people are complaining about their backyard coops, and that, egg production within chickens can be affected by a lot of things, including the quality of light, by the quality of water, seasonal changes, cold weather, and that chicken feed, could actually be compromised and affected by humidity and temperature and things like that as well. So it kind of bundles all together, but then it always comes back to this. So a lot of people then, again, still on social media, started claiming that Purina Animal Nutrition and Tractor Supply and a couple of other brands were somehow changing the formulation in their food or in their feed to keep backyard producers from laying eggs. And Brooke Dillon, who is a spokesperson for Land O'Lakes, the parent company for Purina, did say that they confirmed that there have not been any formulation changes to their products. Tractor Supply, also a spokesperson, said that they also made no changes to their nutritional profile, while they agree that insufficient protein and reduction in certain nutrients could affect egg production, that none of the online stories could really could prove that was the case with the feed that they had purchased. This really, they said, it just boils down to the increased cost of doing business, the fact that millions of birds had to be euthanized, and with less birds, there are less eggs, but people aren't using less eggs, and therefore the cost goes up. So, what do you think? Do you think that feed producers are affecting backyard farmers, or is this just everyone looking for a donkey to pin the tail on? Would love to hear your thoughts. Feel free to reach out to me via email at reportminuteman@gmail.com. Would love to hear your thoughts. Looking at the chat room here real quick before we go. Scott Morian. All right, so Scott thinks that we've pretty much blown up our chicken pipeline, is what I'm gathering here. Thanks for listening, Scott. Before we go, let's remember that there are 4 opportunities now for Truth Be Told content each week. Of course, Minuteman Report with me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern. Tuesdays, we have La Verdad Se Habla, which is the Spanish version of Truth Be Told with Metaphor, and Bonnie Burkert on Wednesday with Truth Be Told Transformation. Those also are at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 Eastern, and Tony Sweet on Fridays with the original Truth Be Told. Except this week, we've got 2 live shows with Tony, Wednesday and Saturday. Wednesday, he's talking to Norma D. Ellis, who wrote the book, The Ancient Tradition of Aliens. And then on Saturday, super special, Tony is going to be talking with best-selling author and producer Billy Carson, who is winning the Pioneer Award at the Parapod Festival coming up at the end of March. If you want more information about the Parapod Festival, visit www.parapodfestival.com and see what Tony and me and everyone else has been cooking up for this fantastic first year festival. So on that note, let me say thank you so much for listening. Until next week, stay true.